Hello friends and fellow world builders. My name is AJ Winters and welcome back to World Builder. Today we're talking myths and legends. More specifically, diving into a couple of the myths and legends that surround the Trilands. And how are we doing that, you may ask? Well, we are diving into the Story Engine deck today in order to make up some interesting twisted tales for our spooky Halloween episode. It might not be that spooky, we'll find out. Or it might be really spooky. Stay tuned. I don't know, we'll see. I cannot wait to dive into this box, so let's crack into it, shall we? I was very graciously given this by the creators, and I'm excited to tell some stories with you today using this system. So first off, we've got ourselves an agent card. Now the agent card is the character surrounding the story. Then you have the engine card, which is the motivations and relationship that drive the story. The anchor cards are objects, locations, or events. The conflicts are the obstacles, consequences, or dilemmas, and the aspect cards are the adjectives and description cards that add a little bit of flavor to our story. So, shall we try it out? Every story starts with a hero, so let's dive into our agent cards, shuffle them up, and see what our myth or legend is going to be surrounded around. Alrighty, so... Interesting. An apprentice is our first card. Now we find out what their motivations are by checking out the anchor card. Let's have a look-see, shuffle the deck a little bit so that you know it's not rigged. Okay. A prototype. Ooh, that matches really nicely with our apprentice card. Is starting to make me think that it's based in the mining city of Austin, especially if we're working around that magical tech. An apprentice of some kind surrounding a tech, surrounding a prototype of said tech. Interesting, interesting. Okay, next we go to our engine card. Wants to draw attention to is our motivation card. Okay, how is this going to come together? Next we've got our conflict card. So this can be an obstacle or a consequence or a dilemma. So I'd be interested to see what dilemma the apprentice and his prototype, or his master's prototype, is facing. Let's have a look. Ooh. They will have to try something frightening and new. Maybe this prototype isn't stable. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Now, lastly, an aspect card. So the aspect card is going to be a descriptor. And we can basically place that beside anything. We can either place it beside the character, the location, or the motivation or conflict as well, depending on what type of descriptive word it is. So, let's have a look. Traumatic. Oh, that lines up quite well. Okay, so they have to try something new and frightening, which leads to a traumatic event for this apprentice. I think that this prototype dealt with some sort of forbidden magic. In order to test on the magical stone and its capabilities, the apprentice and his master tested out a new ability of being able to attach a soul into the stone. It was something new, something frightening, but the most traumatic of all is that this young apprentice was sucked into the stone, making it a prison.
Legend has it that the refined stone from beneath Austin is powerful enough to capture the soul of any creature. It is said that an apprentice befell this gruesome process upon his master's orders. His essence was stripped from his flesh, leaving the shell of a body and a near constant cry for help from within the gem. From then, others were forbidden to try this form of magic, and the master's research was destroyed so that no one could ever replicate the experiment. However, The boy's screams can still be heard from within the lost tombs.
Okay, so we had a story that surrounds Austin a little bit. But now let's see where else we can locate this story. So, we need an anchor card. A game. Just thinking of Squid Game now, which is probably not the best thing, but a game is an interesting setting. Okay, let's see what our characters are. Ooh, a teacher. I don't know about the schooling systems yet in the Trilands. We haven't gotten to education. So maybe that's more of a loose sense of the word, like a mentor, someone who teaches others, rather than a atypical teacher. Okay, let's get our Engin card. Ooh. Wants to create or improve. A lot of these seem to be surrounding the magic, and maybe that's because I've got magic on my mind, being that it's a Halloween episode. But wanting to create something, no. Let's go the completely opposite direction. Let's say they want to create an object, a tech, or a building, something that is non-magical. Okay, conflict card. Ooh. In doing this, it will mean betraying family. Interesting. Family is such an important element in a lot of stories, myths, and legends, right? Betrayal, conflict, heartbreak. So maybe in doing some sort of creation, it betrays the family, a teacher, and a game. How do I loop these together? Okay, let's get an aspect card, and maybe that will tell me a little bit more. Unnerving. Okay. This got a lot darker than I was expecting. A teacher that's unnerving. Interesting. Okay. Now we have 5 cards, but it's not really clear to me yet. So I'm going to pull another round and then add to it. So let's go with another anchor card and see if we can... Ooh. A government. A game within a government. We do sometimes talk about a political game. Okay. Since this teacher is unnerving, I'm gonna say that maybe they are the antagonist of this legend or myth. So I'm going to pull another agent card and see if we can find our hero. A worker. Okay, so someone in the government is the hero of this legend, and they betrayed their family by wanting to create. Okay, I like this. I like this a lot. How about this worker is one of the heads of government, and this mentor is their brother or father in the space. So in order to create, I'm going to say the river city, in order to move and create the river city of the Trilands, this brother had to betray another councilman, defy the original laws or defy the orders. And this political game within this governmental structure is how he achieved it.
Huolm sacrificed everything, even betraying his own brother to uproot a dying city. It is his silent moves behind the shadows that allowed us to transport to the ancient rivers that our moon deity blessed for us. There is strength in patience.
I really like this system of telling stories. It's fast, and it means that you have to connect these dots that you wouldn't usually think of. It gives you new idea prompts that spark something completely out of the realm of what you were originally thinking. For example, me now having to work this political game into the River City means that the River City might not be as innocent as I originally thought them to be. In fact, a lot of these myths and legends are starting to form a bit of a darkness within the world that I'm creating. which is a very interesting conflict internally that I'm experiencing. Because when you create something, especially in a world that you're creating, everything is so happy and magical at the beginning. But if we're going into a conflict of some kind for our D&D game next year, this world can't be perfect. There's going to be beautiful things within it, but there's also going to be darkness. So, let's dive into another one, shall we? I'm going to start with a character card. An enforcer. Interesting. Now, an enforcer for me is not just the guards or the city council or those who make the laws, but it also plays with the aspect of the gods. The gods being a heavy source of religion within the Trilands, especially with the body of the god being laid beneath the Austin Mountains and the River City citizens worshipping some sort of moon deity. The gods themselves also become enforcers. So maybe this story is about one of the gods. Okay, in order to do that, let's take another anchor card. A hideout. Interesting. Maybe this god is hiding from something. That's an interesting legend. A god that is in hiding within the Trilands. Okay. Conflict. They will have to endure something that repulses them. What repulses a god? Something that would repulse a god, to me that screams an unwanted marriage, having to give up immortality, or living amongst the mortals. Maybe a combination of all three. So this god is in hiding within the Trilands to avoid relinquishing their immortality or being forced to marry another god that repulses them. Sounding very Greek, which I like. I like a pantheon. I like working within a pantheon. I know we haven't gotten to the gods yet. That is on its way, but I do enjoy that element. So let's go with an Engin card. Ooh! Wants to get revenge. Ooh, okay. So in order for this god to escape the thing that repulses them, they are in hiding, but they are also plotting revenge. Okay, the aspect card. Okay, this god is crude. That makes me think of a Playboy-esque type character, but I like to play with norms, so I'm going to say that she or they are a promiscuous sort and don't want to get tied down by the Council of the Gods or whatever their structure is. So she or they ran away to hide amongst the citizens of the Trilands, or maybe even in the mountains. Ooh. Biding her time in order to get revenge. I'm going to pull another agent card, another character card, in order to see potentially who this god is running away from. A beast. That makes a lot of sense, especially since this god is repulsed by them. A beast. So maybe one of the god's forms is not aesthetically pleasing. It is a beast, a monstrosity, a creature that this goddess, they or she, does not want to be tied to. Interesting. Do I want to add another element to this? Yes, I think I want to add another aspect card, another descriptor of the beast. Hated. Okay. Now that adds a little bit of depth to this character in the way that they or she is escaping. Potentially, This beast is hated, and therefore this marriage or this union between her and this beast is a punishment for their crude and promiscuous nature.
Femira was smart, escaping the ruling marriage decreed upon her and hiding away with an assortment of concubines. Who knows if it's true, but it's better than marrying the beast of hunger. I wish I could escape my circumstances sometimes too. That choice was nothing but brave.
I'm very excited to dive into the gods, so maybe I might do that next week. With the city of Austin being powered by the body of the god that lies beneath it, and the river city having some sort of magic bestowed upon them by their moon deity, we have to assume that the gods and whatever magic system we're creating for this world work in tandem. So I think next week's episode we need to focus on the gods and the pantheon in order to have a basis to then work through the magic systems. Okay, leave that with me. Let's see what else. We're going to do one more story, myth or legend for today. So, I'm going to start with a different order. I'm going to start with a conflict card. Okay, but they will lose their closest friend. I'm intrigued. Losing their closest friend implies that there is a friend and the hero or the villain of this story. So I'm going to draw 2 character cards. Let's go. 1, 2. We have a vigilante and a guide. Ooh, very Batman. Okay, they will lose their closest friend. So let's dive into the Engin card, the motivations behind this. So I've chosen 2. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, this one hurts my soul a little bit, but it makes for a really good story. They want to erase the memory of and expose a secret. So, in order to expose the secrets of some form of corruption, being that this is a vigilante, they choose to erase their memory, which in turn loses them their closest friend. Ooh. Okay, so now we have the location and the aspect card left. I think I want to pull 2 aspect cards in order to suss out our vigilante and their guide. So 1, 2. Treacherous and overlooked. Maybe this vigilante is overlooked because they're quiet, they never speak out, and their guide is treacherous. Their guide is part of the corruption. So in order to be a vigilante, they take the evidence that they know, they spread it, and they erase their memory, planting themselves back into society with only the knowledge that they have.
If you're reading this, then I perfected the formula to erase everything, even my name. Now the true corruption can be exposed, but most importantly, it can no longer harm you in the process. Wish me luck. I will always love you, even if I do not remember that I do.
This has been incredibly fun. I cannot stress enough how much I love to just tell stories and weave things together, so I hope that you've enjoyed these myths and legends. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and follow all the socials to stay up to date with all the projects and episodes that are coming out shortly. Thank you for joining me for my Halloween episode. If you want to be a part of daily world-building prompts and discussions, then join our Discord. Or if you want to be a patron and have some special voting powers or access to behind-the-scenes content, then head on over to our Patreon and subscribe over there. Oh, I am so pumped for next week's episode. We're going to dive into gods, as I said before. The Pantheon is on its way, people. So, until then, I'll see you next week.